For over 2 millennia, explorers have poured millions of dollars into mapping the ocean floor, dispatching deep-sea submersibles, and scouring the globe to find the remains of a highly advanced, utopian civilization swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. After 2,400 years of searching, they have found absolutely nothing. The entire global obsession traces back to exactly one origin point. The story was never an encyclopedic geographical entry. It is found exclusively within 2 late-period dialogues written by the Greek philosopher Plato around 360 BCE. Plato provided a specific mathematical blueprint for the capital. He described a central island measuring exactly 5 stadia across, roughly 1 kilometer. This inner citadel was surrounded by alternating, perfectly circular concentric rings, 2 of solid land and 3 of water, engineered for strict defensive isolation. The inner walls of this citadel were completely coated in a material Plato called orichalcum. Orichalcum was a highly valuable, naturally occurring brass or copper, zinc, gold alloy that emitted a blinding, fiery red glow, symbolizing the empire's extreme wealth and martial power. Plato explicitly wrote a moral tragedy about an empire intoxicated by its own luxury, ultimately punished by the gods for imperial overreach. Humanity ignored the moral warning and decided to hunt for the literal treasure instead. When modern researchers attempt to map Plato's myth onto physical geography, they usually start in the Aegean Sea. The Minoan civilization, with a major prosperous outpost on the island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, stands as the most scientifically compelling historical parallel. Around 1600 BCE, Thera was obliterated by a massive volcanic eruption. The island's center collapsed into the sea, generating 20-meter-high tsunamis that violently slammed into the nearby coast of Crete. In an instant, the highly advanced maritime Bronze Age fleet of the Minoans was annihilated. Beneath 60 meters of volcanic ash, archaeologists uncovered the Minoan site of Akrotiri. They found earthquake-resistant, multi-story timber buildings and an intricate terracotta plumbing system capable of delivering hot and cold geothermal water indoors. It was a society engineered millennia ahead of its contemporaries. Other researchers move further west to adhere strictly to Plato's explicit geographical marker, the assertion that Atlantis lay beyond the Strait of Gibraltar, known in antiquity as the Pillars of Hercules. This points to southern Spain and the lost civilization of Tartessos. Deep ground radar and electrical resistance tomography scans over the desolate Doñana marshes have detected massive rectangular structures buried deep in the mud. Core samples reveal a thick layer of trapped methane gas. Methane is highly indicative of massive amounts of organic matter, such as a bustling, metallurgically wealthy coastal city suddenly submerged and decomposing after a catastrophic Atlantic tsunami. The sudden destruction of Thera and Tartessus offers striking historical echoes of Plato's cataclysm, yet the physical evidence contains severe timeline and geographic discrepancies that fail to align with the ancient text. That precise void of hard evidence is exactly what fringe theories rush to fill. This void birthed a massive viral internet obsession focused deep in Mauritania. From space, the Richat structure, often called the Eye of the Sahara, looks like a perfect 40-kilometer-wide concentric bullseye. Proponents point to surface-level geographical parallels. The structure features mountains to the north, just as Plato described, and massive geological striations in the surrounding desert sand that look remarkably like the receding waters of an ancient tsunami. This diagram compares Plato's strict textual measurements against the actual geology. Plato's central island was 5 stadia, under 1 kilometer wide. The central dome of the Richat is over 30 kilometers across. Furthermore, extensive Paleolithic surveys confirm there are absolutely 0 Bronze Age masonry or metallurgical artifacts here. It is definitively a 100-million-year-old eroded natural volcanic dome. The viral fixation on the Richat structure reveals a psychological need to believe the world still holds secrets that could upend our understanding of history. When modern sleuths look at satellite imagery, they routinely conflate natural geological phenomena with engineered ancient architecture. The mutation from a classical philosophical allegory into modern pseudoscience truly began in 1882. A populist politician named Ignatius Donnelly published a book treating Plato's text as verbatim historical fact. He invented the concept of hyperdiffusionism. Hyperdiffusionism is the pseudoscientific theory that a single ancient society, in this case Atlantis, acted as the original cradle of civilization, spreading its monumental architecture and culture to primitive peoples globally. In the 1920s and 30s, an American trains channeler named Edgar Cayce introduced psychic archaeology to the myth. During deep trance states, Cayce claimed to recount the past lives of Atlanteans. He argued they wielded utopian technology powered entirely by massive energy crystals. Cayce famously prophesied that remnants of Atlantis would rise near Bimini in the Bahamas in 1968. Astonishingly, that exact year, divers discovered the Bimini Road, a 0.8-kilometer line of massive rectangular limestone blocks. Geologists proved it is simply beach rock fracturing under its own weight over millennia, but the sheer coincidence of timing permanently tethered Atlantis to the New Age movement. By the late 20th century, authors like Erich von Däniken absorbed Atlantis into the ancient astronaut hypothesis. Modern media began depicting the island not as a Bronze Age maritime empire, but as a prehistoric spaceport, arguing this advanced technology was a direct gift from extraterrestrial visitors. The legend of Atlantis survives because it operates as a cultural Rorschach test. A Rorschach test is a psychological tool where a person's interpretation of an ambiguous image reveals their own underlying thoughts. Whether we project our anxieties about the atomic age or industrialization, the myth mutates to reflect the desires of whoever is searching for it. This map shows the bathymetry, or underwater depth and topography, of the global ocean floor. It clearly displays the mid-Atlantic ridge, a massive divergent plate boundary, where magma continuously upwells to form new oceanic crust, physically pushing the Americas apart from Europe and Africa. The Atlantic Ocean floor is composed of heavy, dense basaltic rock. Continents are composed of much lighter granitic rock that literally floats on the mantle below it. Because of this structural reality, there is no geological mechanism for a massive landmass to suddenly sink into the ocean basin. If Atlantis was a global superpower dominating the Mediterranean 11,000 years ago, there should be an abundance of archaeological refuse, pottery shards, bronze tools, and shipwrecks scattered across the Atlantic and Mediterranean seafloors. Outside of Plato's text, zero material evidence exists. Continuing the physical hunt for a sunken mid-Atlantic continent requires a rejection of established Earth sciences in favor of a comforting, fictional worldview. From a purely historical perspective, the silence is absolute. Prior to Plato, there is no mention of a sunken utopian superpower in any Greek, Egyptian, Phoenician, or Mesopotamian text. Modern classicists agree that Atlantis was a fictionalized literary counterimage. Plato was notorious for inventing noble lies to illustrate complex ethical points. He designed the decadent Atlantis as a dark reflection to critique the moral decay of his own city, Athens, which had recently suffered a humiliating defeat in the Peloponnesian War. Atlantis remains a warning about the catastrophic cost of greed and imperial overreach, a lesson we consistently ignore in favor of chasing its mythical gold.